Two GMC trucks on the same lot. Same year, same cab, same four-wheel drive. One has a 5.3 gas V8, the other has a 6.6 Duramax diesel. The diesel costs $20,000 more. And the question that starts more arguments in the truck world than any other, is it worth it? I pulled real numbers from 2026, purchase prices, fuel costs per mile, maintenance over 100,000 miles, repair bills when emissions equipment fails, and resale when you sell. 5 rounds of math, no opinions, no loyalty. The answer surprised me, and it'll surprise both sides. Let's run the numbers. Round 1, purchase price. This is the number everyone already knows and the one most people still don't fully process. A used 2015 through 2020 Sierra 1500 with the 5.3 V8, crew cab, four-wheel drive, depending on mileage and condition, $18,000 to $28,000. That's the gas truck, the mainstream, the one that 85% of GMC buyers search for. Now the same era. Sierra 2500 HD with the 6.6 Duramax, crew cab, four-wheel drive, $35,000 to $42,000 for a truck with comparable mileage. Some lower mile examples push past $45,000. The gap, $15,000 to $20,000. On the same lot, same generation, same cab configuration, $20,000 more before you turn the key, before you pump a gallon of fuel, before you change a single drop of oil. Let me make this real. I pulled up listings this week. A 2018 Sierra 1500 SLT crew cab, four-wheel drive, with 90,000 miles, $23,000. Right next to it on the same dealer's site, a 2018 Sierra 2500 HD Duramax crew cab, four-wheel drive, with 95,000 miles, $41,000. Nearly identical trucks, nearly identical mileage, $18,000 apart. That's not a premium, that's a second vehicle. And here's the thing, if you're comparing within the half-ton market, Sierra 1500 with the 3.0 Duramax diesel versus the 5.3 gas, the premium is smaller, but still significant. $4,000 to $8,000 more for the diesel 1500 on the used market. And the towing capacity difference between them is marginal, roughly 1,000 pounds more for the diesel. You're paying $4,000 to $8,000 for 1,000 pounds of towing that most owners will never use. Now, I know what you're thinking. Diesel holds value, so you get that premium back when you sell. We'll get to that in round 5. But for now, the scoreboard reads clear. You're paying $15,000 to $20,000 more before you drive off the lot. The savings have to start somewhere, and they don't start at the dealership. Round 1 goes to gas. Let's see if diesel can make it up at the pump. Round 2, fuel cost per mile. This is where diesel fans claim their victory. Let's see if the math agrees. Gas 5.3 V8. Real-world combined fuel economy, 16 to 20 miles per gallon depending on driving habits, terrain, and whether you're towing. Call the average 17 for a typical owner. Regular unleaded in 2026, $3.32 per gallon national average. That puts your per mile fuel cost at about 19.5 cents. Duramax 6.6 diesel. Real world combined, 15 to 20 miles per gallon. And I know that number surprises people. The EPA numbers are higher, but real-world ownership data, forums, fuel tracking apps, fleet reports, consistently shows 15 to 20 combined for the heavy-duty Duramax, depending on load and driving conditions. Not 22 to 25 like the forums claim. Call the average 17 for a comparable driving profile. Diesel fuel in 2026, $3.90 per gallon national average. That's 58 cents more per gallon than regular unleaded. Per mile fuel cost on the Duramax, about 23 cents. Let me say that again. The gas truck costs about 19.5 cents per mile in fuel. The diesel costs about 23 cents per mile. The diesel is actually more expensive to fuel in average driving conditions. Not by a lot, but it's not cheaper. The fuel price premium erases the efficiency advantage almost entirely. Over 15,000 miles per year, gas costs about $2,900 in fuel. Diesel costs about $3,400. The diesel costs roughly $500 more per year in fuel for average mixed driving. Let me put that in perspective. Over 5 years of average ownership, the diesel owner spends $2,500 more on fuel than the gas owner. Over 10 years and $5,000 more. And remember, this is the category where diesel was supposed to win. The entire argument for diesel starts with, but it gets better fuel economy. It does, slightly, but diesel fuel costs 58 cents more per gallon. That price gap wipes out the efficiency advantage and then some. The diesel isn't saving you money at the pump, it's costing you money at the pump. The math is not close. Stay with me here. The diesel is more expensive to buy and more expensive to fuel for the average owner. Where do the savings come from? There is one scenario where diesel fuel economy pulls ahead meaningfully: sustained heavy towing. Under load, the Duramax's torque advantage means it doesn't have to work as hard as the gas engine. Fuel economy under towing load for the diesel stays in the 12 to 15 range. The gas 5.3 drops to 8 to 12. That's where the efficiency gap widens. But you have to be towing heavy, 10,000 pounds or more, consistently to see that advantage on your annual fuel bill. $600 a year in fuel savings. That's the best case scenario under constant towing. At that rate, it takes 25 to 33 years to recoup the purchase premium. You'll break even on the purchase price right around the time you're buried in it. Round 2, gas wins for average driving. Diesel takes it only under sustained heavy load, and the savings are smaller than anyone wants to admit. Let's move to where it gets worse. Round 3. Maintenance cost per 100,000 miles. The running costs that nobody adds up until it's too late. Gas, 5.3. Oil change every 5,000 miles. $60 to $80 at a shop. Over 100,000 miles, that's $1,200 to $1,600. Air filters, spark plugs, coolant flushes, transmission service, brake fluid, standard maintenance that every truck needs regardless of fuel type. Total basic maintenance on a gas 5.3 over 100,000 miles. Roughly $3,000 to $4,500. That's it. That's the list. Now the Duramax. Oil change every 7,500 miles. $120 to $150 per change because diesel engines hold more oil and require diesel-specific synthetic. Over 100,000 miles. $1,600 to $2,000 just in oil changes. Already more than gas. But here's where the line items stack up. Diesel fuel filters, $75 to $120, changed every 15 to 20,000 miles. That's $400 to $800 over 100,000. DEF fluid, $10 to $15 per refill, every 5 to 10,000 miles, depending on driving conditions. Another $150 to $300. Then you have the diesel-specific coolant requirements, glow plug inspection, and turbo maintenance intervals. And those last items aren't cheap either. Glow plugs on a Duramax run $40 to $60 each, 8 plugs total, and they're recommended every 100,000 miles. That's $320 to $480 just for the plugs, plus labor. The turbocharger needs periodic inspection for shaft play and boost leaks. Not expensive if it's fine, but if the turbo needs rebuilt or replaced, you're looking at $2,500 to $5,500. Gas trucks don't have a turbo. One less thing to maintain, one less thing to fail. Total basic maintenance on a Duramax over 100,000 miles, $5,000 to $7,500. The gap, diesel costs $2,000 to $3,000 more per 100,000 miles in scheduled maintenance alone. Not repairs, not things breaking, just the normal expected cost of keeping the engine alive. Let me be clear. This is the category where diesel fans say the longer oil change interval saves money. It doesn't. The cost per oil change is so much higher that the extended interval barely dents the difference. You're changing oil less often, but paying almost double each time. The math washes out, and everything else stacks on top. The diesel costs more to buy, more to fuel in average driving, and more to maintain. The savings are supposed to come from somewhere. Where? Quick thing. If this math is changing how you look at your next truck, that's exactly why I run these numbers. Hit subscribe. Every week, I break down the real cost of GMC ownership. Not opinions, not brand loyalty, just the math. So you always know what you're actually spending. Now, these last 2 rounds are where the math gets ugly, starting with the category that separates a bad year from a devastating one. Round 4, repair costs when things break. And this is where the diesel ownership experience diverges from the gas experience in a way that nobody shows honestly. Let me be clear, both engines have problems. The 5.3 and 6.2 gas V8s have a well-documented Achilles heel, AFM lifter failure. I covered the 5 behaviors that accelerated in another video. The repair, $3,000 to $5,500 for lifters and cam. Worst case, engine replacement at $6,000 to $12,000. That's the expensive failure mode, and it's essentially the only major one. Water pumps at 400 to 800. Intake manifold at 600 to 1200. These are annoyances, not catastrophes. So you've got one major failure mode on gas, expensive when it hits, preventable in many cases with the right oil, the right behavior, and a 250 disabler. Now diesel. DPF replacement. The diesel particulate filter clogs over time. Replacement cost? $2,000 to $4,000 depending on generation. DEF system failure. The injector, heater, or pump fails. $1,500 to $3,500, EGR cooler and valve. The exhaust gas recirculation system carbon coats itself to failure. $800 to $2,000, CP 4.2 fuel system failure. This is the big one on the LML Duramax. The high-pressure fuel pump self-destructs, sends metal shavings through the entire fuel system, injectors, rails, lines, tank. Total repair, $12,000 to $16,000. Not a typo, $12,000 to $16,000. Turbo replacement, $2,500 to $5,500. Injector set, $2,800 to $5,500. Let me give you a real example. Last month, a 2014 Sierra 2500 HD came in on a flatbed. 78,000 miles, single owner, every service done at the dealer. CP 4.2 failed on the highway without warning. One moment the truck was pulling fine. Next moment, loss of power, check engine light, metallic debris in the fuel system. The estimate, $14,200. Fuel pump, all 8 injectors, fuel rails, fuel lines, tank cleaning, labor. The owner had paid $38,000 for the truck 2 years earlier. He was looking at a repair that was almost 40% of what he paid for the entire vehicle. The pattern is clear. The gas engine has one expensive failure mode. The diesel has 6, and any single one of those diesel failures costs more than the gas engine's worst day, except for a full engine replacement. And here's what nobody talks about. Emissions equipment on a diesel, DPF, DEF, EGR, are the most failure-prone components on the entire truck. They fail on schedule. Not if, when. The cost of emissions equipment repairs alone over the life of a diesel truck can run $4,000 to $10,000. Gas trucks have zero emissions equipment repair costs, zero. I covered the DPF and EGR delete in another video. Some owners remove the emissions equipment entirely. That solves the reliability problem but creates a federal legal one. Either way, the cost exists. You're either paying to repair it or paying to delete it. A gas engine has one expensive failure mode. A diesel has 6, and any one of them costs more than the gas engine's worst day. And the last round is the one diesel fans count on to balance the books. Let's see if it does. Round 5, resale value, the diesel trump card, the argument that's supposed to make everything I just showed you irrelevant. And here's the thing, it's partially true. Diesel trucks do hold value better. The demand for used Duramax trucks is intense. Buyers pay a premium at resale just like they do at original purchase. But the question isn't whether diesel resells for more. It's whether it resells for enough more to cover everything we just calculated. Let's run it. A 2016 Sierra 1500 5.3 with 100,000 miles. Resale value in 2026 sits around $18,000 to $22,000. A 2016 Sierra 2500 HD Duramax with 100,000 miles, $32,000 to $38,000. The resale gap, $14,000 to $16,000 in the diesel's favor. That sounds like a win. But remember, the purchase price gap was $15,000 to $20,000. The diesel gained back $14,000 to $16,000 of that $20,000 in resale. That's a net loss of $4,000 to $6,000 on purchase to resale alone. Now add back everything else. The diesel spent $500 or more extra per year in fuel for 5 years, $2,500, $2,000 to $3,000 more in maintenance, and the risk of an emissions repair bill between $4,000 and $16,000 that the gas truck simply doesn't face. Let me be very direct. Over a 5-year, 100,000-mile ownership period, the gas owner's total cost of ownership is conservatively $5,000 to $15,000 less than the diesel owner. That's not an opinion. That's the math from rounds 1 through 5, stacked. Diesel holds value better, but not better enough to cover what you spent getting there. Here's the honest verdict, and I mean honest because this is where most videos go wrong by picking a side. 5 rounds, gas won 4 of them. Purchase price, gas. Fuel cost per mile in average driving, gas. Maintenance, gas. Repair costs, gas. Diesel won 1, resale, and didn't win it by enough to close the gap. But that doesn't mean diesel is wrong. It means diesel is wrong for the wrong buyer. Here's where diesel genuinely wins, and I'll give it full credit. If you tow 10,000 pounds or more every week, not twice a year, every week, the Duramax's torque advantage and fuel efficiency under heavy load are real. The engine doesn't work as hard. It lasts longer under sustained load. Fuel savings compound when you're pulling heavy for 30, 40, 50,000 miles a year. If you're a commercial operator, landscaping, construction, hotshot hauling, diesel is the right tool. A buddy of mine runs a landscaping company with 4 Duramax trucks. They tow 12,000 pounds 6 days a week, 50 weeks a year. For him, diesel pays for itself in 3 years because the fuel savings under constant load are real and the engine longevity under sustained stress is measurably better than gas. That's the diesel buyer. That's who it's built for. But here's where gas wins, and this is 90% of GMC owners. Daily driving, commuting, recreational towing, boats, campers, utility trailers under 8,000 pounds, weekend use, budget-conscious ownership where total cost matters more than towing bragging rights, simpler maintenance, cheaper repairs, any mechanic can work on it. Any parts store stocks what you need. I'm not anti-diesel. Diesel is the right tool for a specific job, but if you're buying a Duramax to tow a boat twice a year and commute to work 5 days a week, you're paying a heavy-duty premium for a light-duty life. The gas truck does that job for tens of thousands less. And the math doesn't care which side you're on. If you want to know which gas engine is the smartest purchase right now, watch The Only GMC Engine Worth Buying in 2026. That video breaks down exactly which 5.3 to buy and which to avoid. And if you want the gas 2500 that does the heavy towing for half the diesel price, watch 5 cheap GMC trucks everyone ignores, gold mines. The gas 2500 is gold mine number 4 on that list for a reason. 2 trucks on the same lot, same year, same cab, $20,000 apart. Now you know which one is actually cheaper to own, and it's not the one you'd think. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one.